Waking Up to Serenity, Unlocking the Door to Emotional Sobriety by Angelo. Chapter 6, The Experience of Awareness. I should say that this chapter should not really be listened to when driving. The first two pieces of the jigsaw have been in the form of explanations. This third piece is intended to be experiential. You can actually draw upon your own experience in order to validate what's being shared. Sit quietly with your eyes closed. Become acutely aware of the content of your experience, moment to moment. There may be sounds in the distance. You will be aware of the weight of your body, the touch of the supporting chair, and the sensation of your feet on the floor. You will be aware of your breathing, the in-breath, the out-breath, and the pauses in between. There may be thoughts arising and subsiding. There may be some mild emotion, such as anxiety. All of this takes place in the VR headset of the mind, and you are aware of all of it. Now turn your attention to just the sensation of breathing. Notice that this now becomes your dominant experience. There's still some awareness of sound, touch, thought, and emotion, but these are overshadowed by the focus on the breath. Stay like this for 30 seconds or so. Then shift your focus to the sensation of your feet touching the floor. Focus just on your feet. And stay like this for another 30 seconds. Notice that you're now largely unaware that you're breathing. Previously, the breath was your primary experience, but now it's almost forgotten. And now turn your attention to the sounds in the distance. Until this very moment, you were most likely unaware that they were taking place. But now, all of a sudden, they are clearly part of your experience. Open your eyes, and now all of the images of your environment flood into the headset, and the sensation of breathing, the feet on the floor, and the distant sounds fade into the background. This simple exercise highlights two aspects of awareness that are of fundamental importance. Aspects that are very familiar, but may have previously not been considered worthy of consideration. The first arises in the form of a question. Is the awareness that is aware of the breath the same awareness that is aware of the feet, the sounds, and the images? Well, the answer is yes, but it's important that you verify this for yourself. There is a single awareness that is aware of everything that arises in the mind. Secondly, notice that you have the power of attention or focus. Wherever you place your attention dictates your primary experience. In our exercise, awareness is aware of breathing, sounds, touch, and images. But the experience itself shifts as we move our attention from one to the other. Such simple observations are incredibly important. The crucial point to highlight here is that we have a distinction between a single awareness that is aware of experience and the content of experience that appears in the mind. The awareness is not in the headset. The awareness is watching the headset. The headset does whatever it does, and the awareness is simply aware of what is happening. This, if you like, is the first step toward our innermost self. The headset is on the surface, but the awareness is deeper down. Spiritual teacher Rupert Spira uses the metaphor of a television screen to explain the distinction between experience and awareness. Well, as we know, a TV screen produces its effect by pulsating large numbers of pixels to create the appearance of static or moving images. And this is supplemented by sound reproduction, which synchronizes with the images. This is all very familiar to us, but there is much to learn. When we sit down to watch a movie, the first thing we do is to switch on the television. Prior to turning it on, all we're looking at is the blank screen. We see the screen, we know it's there, and it is all that we see. Once the device is switched on, then images and sounds appear. Well, let's assume that we're watching an action movie. We quickly become absorbed in the movie. The characters, places, and events develop, and we begin to identify with the story. We may become attached to one or more of the characters and begin to experience emotions connected to the action as it unfolds. Our thinking may include all manner of thoughts, including, for example, injustice, judgment, resistance, identification, and anticipation. We may try to comprehend the plot and guess what the ending will be. Anxiety, tension, excitement, compassion, fear, sadness, relief, joy, and all other emotions may arise. Our minds will be fully focused on the movie, and it will take on a sense of temporary reality. We completely lose sight of the screen and totally overlook the fact that it's all a technical illusion. Such is the power of external focus and purposeful forgetting. What's actually happening is not real at all. The 2 million pixels on the screen are pulsating and changing at a rate of 60 times per second or even higher on some screens. This creates the illusion of images and movement, and it all happens so quickly and smoothly that we cannot possibly perceive the true reality. If we were able to slow it all down dramatically and zoom in on a small portion of the screen, then we will be able to see the individual pixels pulsing on and off and changing colour. This, however, is not our usual experience, hence such matters are ignored because they seem unimportant to our viewing. Whilst all of this is going on, and our focus and attention is entirely on the movie, we simply do not see the screen. It's there, and always has been there, but we don't see it because we're totally distracted by the action. Not only is the unseen screen there, but it is the very thing that is creating the movie experience out of itself. Without the screen, there is no movie. The pixels are unseen, yet they are the minuscule elements of the images and movement that we perceive. The screen is showing a particular movie, but it could easily play any movie. The potential of the 2 million pixels is infinite. The screen has unlimited potential, subject of course to whatever digital signals it receives. As we sit and watch, we forget that there is a screen, and we forget that the screen is creating the movie experience. We're so involved in the people, places and events that it feels real. We may be sitting several meters from the screen, but somehow it feels like we're actually in it. We have a vague sense that it's just a movie, and that we remain ourselves throughout, but this deeper sense of knowing is overshadowed by our emotional involvement in the drama on the screen. Sometimes the experience of watching a good movie can be emotionally draining, and there can be a sense of relief when it ends. But when it does end, and we switch off the television, we suddenly see that the screen had been there all along. We also begin to detach from the emotions, and they quickly fade, perhaps because the blank screen highlights the unreality of the movie. The memory of the movie may linger, but gradually the whole experience subsides. This television screen metaphor provides some important insight. The person who watches the movie is sitting apart from the screen and is in the role of observer. The movie is created by the screen and is the source of the experience. The observer watches the movie and is aware of the experience arising. The more the watcher is absorbed in the movie, the more seemingly real the experience will become. If the watcher were able to remain aware of being the observer, remind themselves that the movie was unreal, and acknowledge that it was all being created by the screen, then the movie could still be watched and enjoyed, but the experience would be far less intense. The screen would be seen at all times, the pulsing of pixels would be understood, and the illusion of the movie would be seen through. It would be a different experience. This detachment from the movie is an important step in understanding. We've seen that all experience takes place in the mind, and that awareness is aware of the elements of experience. If we can focus on just being aware, then this would be the equivalent of moving from a position of being completely involved in the movie to the more detached position of only being the observer. Just as in our metaphor, nothing has actually changed, other than the watcher now acknowledges that they are not in the movie but simply an observer of it. This simple change in perception is a move away from the personal ego mind towards awareness itself. But it does take persistent practice, otherwise we quickly forget and become engrossed in the movie once more. Another insight arising from the television metaphor is that the watcher is in truth entirely unaffected by whatever happens on the screen. Although some reaction seems to occur, the reality is that the observer remains as they are before, during, and after the movie ends. Nothing that takes place in the movie has any permanent effect on the watcher. If we apply this metaphor to our earlier exercise, then we can go even deeper. We became aware of the breath, but we most likely still believed that it was me personally that was breathing. However, the breath was appearing in the headset, and so too is the idea of me. The awareness is distinct from the headset, just as the watcher is distinct from the movie. So I must be the one that's aware of the breath, rather than the one that is breathing. This must mean that I am the awareness itself. In our exercise, we also had the direct recognition that we have the power of attention, and that by moving our attention, we can change our primary experience. We can repeat the exercise, but this time, rather than moving our attention from one thing to another, we can simply keep our attention focused on the fact that we are aware. In other words, we can be aware that we are aware. Close your eyes again and sit completely still. Allow the mind to settle and just be fully present in your beingness. Bring your attention to the simple fact that you are aware. It doesn't matter what you are aware of. Just stay focused on the knowledge that you are aware. Be aware of being aware. Your attention will most likely be pulled into some aspect of the experience in your headset, but try to notice when this happens and bring your attention back to just being aware. And notice that your awareness remains unaffected before, during, and after you are pulled into experience of the headset. Repeat, repeat, repeat. This exercise is what is known as meditation. We will see later that meditation is a key spiritual practice which needs to be practiced frequently. You are the awareness. The personal body and ego self that you think you are appears in the mind, but the real you is the one that is aware of the mind. And awareness has the power of attention. You can withdraw your attention from the movie and focus on just being aware. Awareness is unaffected by whatever happens in the movie. Awareness is a power greater than the personal ego self. Awareness is a higher power. You may perhaps be feeling that this is all too easy. Surely it must be more difficult than this. I can assure you that it really is this simple. Awareness is the third piece of the jigsaw. Awareness is always present and is untouched by the activity of the mind. Awareness is the unsuspected inner resource. Awareness is a big step towards the great reality that is deep down within us. It's time to awaken.